Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized to you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? Hi, I'm Jerry Mangona, your Edward Jones financial advisor, and I live here in Corktown, just a few blocks from the Daily Detroit studios. When we work together, we'll focus on what's important to you. We'll use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And we'll partner to help your strategy stay on track. Contact me toll-free today at 866-975-8655. Again, that's 866-975-8655. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Daily Detroit for Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. I am Jer Stays. The turnover buffs have been distributed throughout the Michigan fandom. Michigan is the national champion for the first time since the 1990s. Fletcher Sharp, good to talk to you. And this wasn't even close.
It's just kind of my fear for Washington going into the game. They had never really faced a team that's committed to the run before. They'd played against some games against teams that, maybe had run the ball a little bit, had run the ball maybe well at times, but not a team that is so committed that they will put extra linemen and tight ends to definitely establish the run the way Michigan did. And it almost looked like the game was going to be over early when Donovan Edwards got his 2 40 and 50-yard runs for touchdowns that kind of gashed Washington's defense. They put up a fight to come back, but of course, once Michigan's Sharon Moore kind of got out of his own way and got back to running the ball, which would have been good for them, kind of sealed the game right there.
Couple of thoughts. One, Blake Corum just bounced off of everybody and, just found that end zone. The defense, look, I felt bad for Michael Penix Jr. walking, like that shot at the end of the game, looking at him in that fourth quarter. He looked pretty broken. He looked pretty banged up, and I was like, this game's out of reach, man. Like, I don't know. It seems like Michigan did a number on Penix Jr.
Yeah, and the thing that's the most frustrating if you're a Huskies fan is the fact that they were all legal hits, and he only got sacked really once or twice. But as someone who played quarterback, obviously not at the college level, but I can tell you this, every quarterback is great when they drop back to throw and the pocket is almost perfect. They're able to throw the ball with, unencumbered. But you get hit real hard once, real hard. Not even just a sack, but you throw the ball and just get crushed. Your next few throws are you throwing the ball a lot quicker. And the goal maybe is to get the ball down the field, but it's also, please don't hit me like that ever again. Like, it changes your mentality and makes you think quicker. And the fact that he kept getting hit and hit and hit, you noticed in the first half, he had took some time to get started, but at the end of the half, he'd kind of got something going. First pass of the second half, interception, he gets hit while throwing, gets rolled up on, and from that point forward, you notice a change in how he's throwing the ball. But no, Michigan's defense, they showed that they are the best defense in the country. They gave up 10.5 points all season, which is insane to think about. That's literally a touchdown and a field goal every game. The offense only had 5 turnovers this entire season, and the majority of them came in that game against Bowling Green, where they crushed Bowling Green but were sloppy with the ball. Like, that's an insane thought to think about, that 60-80% of your turnovers came from one game. But yet, to my point, Sharon Moore was calling a great game of just running the ball, and then out of the blue decided to get J.J. McCarthy involved, which was strange given the timing of that call. At that time, Washington had not stopped the run at all. It's kind of like a pitcher in baseball having like a dominant slider and going to the slider and going to the slider, and no one could hit it. And he's like, you know what? I'm throwing a fastball. And they why would you do that? Like, you've thrown 12 strikeouts in a row. Why would you switch it up? And you kind of saw Michigan's offense stall for a second. Then Washington went into the half, scoring a touchdown. They came out again, interception. Michigan's defense played really well there. And Washington's defense had a chance to like reset and refocus itself. And yeah, they got better on the run in the second half. And J.J. McCarthy had to make one or two throws that helped. But overall, like, they could have lined up power I, wing T for most of this game and just said, here, run the ball up the middle. Blake, up the middle. Donovan, outside.
And there were so many times that Washington let them. There are so many plays where I'm sitting there going, I'll take it.
I mean, they didn't let them. Those are some big men physically moving you out of the way.
So they just got dominated.
It's a style of play. Every conference has their own kind of style of play. And I don't want to lean into that, thought process of everyone does this and was. But like typically when you have West Coast teams, especially teams in the Pac-12, probably not after this year because they are coming more central, a lot of their offenses are more spread out, more open. Yes, there are some open offenses in the SEC and in the Big Ten and the Big 12. But typically when you're out there playing in the Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-8, however many numbers they have. You have USC as a pro-style offense, but it's more spread out. UCLA, spread out offense. Washington notoriously has a spread out offense. So does Washington State. Oregon is known for their run and shoot spread offense. Oregon State's. So you have teams that like to come out of the shotgun. So typically defensively, they get those really quick, fast twitch athletes who might not be huge, but like they do something. But yeah, when you go up against teams from the Midwest who are like, hey, we might have a spread offense, but also we're going to run the ball down your throat. We're not going to play around with, empty backfield, 5 wide receivers. We're going to put 2 people in the backfield, a quarterback under center. He's going to drop back, put it in our quarterback's stomach, in our running back's stomach and say, go get it. Or we're going to line up in shotgun, running back here. I'm going to look and I'm going to give him the ball and say, go get it. And that's what happened for most of the game. They said to Blake, they told Donovan, hey, go get it. Even with a little trick gadget play where they put Origi in there at quarterback, it's like, all right, yeah, of course, he has a different dynamic. But you know damn well he's here to run the ball. He's not here to throw it. He's not here to be fake or anything. He's here to get the ball, look upfield, and run straight into somebody. And to show you even the holes that they were making on Donovan Edwards' first touchdown, he actually hit the wrong gap. He ran right into the back of his lineman, but the hole was so open that he had enough time to hit the back of his offensive lineman, bounce off them, and then take off. That's how much they were mauling Washington's defensive line. And offensively, number 73 for them had a terrible game, but he was like all Pac-12, and like by some media outlets was a second team All-American. And he was just getting run through the entire game. And of course, Michael Penix Jr., dynamic quarterback who can throw on the run. But like for almost every quarterback who throws on the move, it has to be their choice to throw on the move. You know what I mean? Like they have to decide, I'm going to roll out, I'm going to step out of the pocket, I'm going to make this play. Not I'm forced to step out of the pocket and make this play. And people are like, he doesn't look like the same guy against Texas. Yeah, it's because against Texas, they had to add extra pressure to do something against him. And Michigan, for most of the game, was sending 4 players, which is a base package, and dropping 7 and still getting insane amount of pressure on this guy. Of course, yeah, they didn't sack him that many times, but again, they hit him. And people, I feel like, don't understand how much it hurts to get hit in football at times. I can put it in perspective like this. Michigan fans know this guy. Mike Martin played for Catholic Central, played nose tackle at Michigan, went on to go play for the Tennessee Titans and the Oakland Raiders. We were on a punt. He was in there blocking, trying to block a punt. I was running down there as a gunner to go make a tackle. I turned around and saw him coming, and he sized me up and hit me shoulder to shoulder. And in that moment, after my 12, 13 years of playing football, last year of football, thinking about maybe playing in college, I almost wanted to quit in the middle of that game. Immediately. I was like, you know what? That really hurt a lot. My whole body feels like one of those skeleton toys that you knock them over and they fall like just a bundle of bones. That hurt a lot. I don't want to play anymore. I'm good. So if you can imagine getting hit like that, like 25 times a game, yeah, you probably would not want to play the sport either. So the fact that Michael Penix was able to like complete the game, even if not great, hats off to him for that. Because me personally and the average guy would be like, you know what, I'm good. I'm all right. Like, no, it's Sub me out, please, sir. I don't want to do this anymore. But I mean, that's the mark of a good defense, is they don't have to make all the plays. They just have to cause enough chaos to make you play under standard. If they do that enough times, you win games. And yeah, they came out and they show that they can do that.
Obviously, this is a big win for the University of Michigan, the state of Michigan. You know, Ann Arbor is going to be going crazy with this. I have a lot of friends in my circle that are Michigan alum who made the trip down to Houston, and they are very, very happy. But I'd be remiss if before we talk about the Lions, we didn't talk a bit about the future of Jim Harbaugh. There's a quote that I saw in CBS Sports that I wanted to bring up to you this morning, and this is from Michigan President Santa Ono about Harbaugh. He's certainly fulfilled his destiny. I hope he stays. I am going to do everything I can to encourage him to stay, but if he doesn't, the Michigan tradition will move on. This tells me the whole time they didn't have a deal. Like all the things of like, oh, well, maybe there was the suspension and then maybe they pulled it back politically. It tells me they didn't have a deal, and it tells me that this is very much up in the air, and this perennial will Harbaugh go or stay. And talking to some Michigan fans, there's a group of people who would like him to stay, and there's a group of people who's like, we got our natty. Things are going to change in the 12-team playoff. You know what? If you go, you go. Thoughts?
He has the leverage now. He won a national championship for the first time in 26 years as a Michigan man. So, like, really, it's you back up the Brinks truck and meet his demands, or he is the new coach at Carolina or the Chicago Bears or, you know, the Falcons. Like, it's either you adhere to what he wants or you don't at this point. And a lot of Michigan people are like, you know what, we're good. And it'll be a reshuffling of the deck kind of, because they're going to be losing some key parts that are going to the pros. I mean, this is what happens when you have I don't want to say untenable situation, but like a not awesome one in contract time, and then you let one side get all the advantage over the other. If he goes, I think they'll be fine next year. They have some candidates in mind, obviously.
Well, I mean, obviously, don't you look to Sharon Moore first?
If he's still there, yes, you do.
Oh, so you think he's going to go too?
If Jim does not take him, then like, sure. If Sharon stays, then obviously he's a candidate. He did well in his time as a head coach. Kind of still want him focused on play calling a bit more than the whole, you know, shebang. But in his few games that he was the head coach, he did a very good job. He beat Ohio State, which is like something that a lot of Michigan coaches can't really say very often, if ever. So if he goes, you know, rides up into the sunset of college football, good for him. And the university, like the president said, like will move forward.
Let's get into prediction territory a little bit here. I say he goes because he leaves a legend.
I mean, yeah, because you don't want to come back and then go 8-5, and people will be like, yeah, why didn't you leave last year? Why didn't you leave last year? It feels like he would go. This feels like an opportune time, the most opportune time to go after guiding your team to a national championship amidst some controversy. Probably would be the best time to go. As opposed to staying here and potentially waiting through it and some other things biting you in the butt or having a down year, or just, no, it feels like the proper time to, you know, now go back to the NFL or retire or do whatever, or, you know, whatever he wants to do, appear in more cameos in TV shows. I'm not really sure what's on his docket, but if he chooses not to coach another game in Ann Arbor, he will leave as a much loved figure, which is something insane to say, especially if you looked at this 3 years ago.
Speaking of cameos, before we get to the Lions, I want to mention, shout out to Tim Robinson, Sam Richardson, both won Emmys for different projects. Richardson for Ted Lasso, Robinson for a short form work. But I just wanted to make sure we shout that out because that cameo, one of those cameos, was on Detroiters, one of the best television shows to ever exist on anywhere.
Shout out to Sam Richardson. Always want to support the Cubs. UDJ grad from before, so I'm always going to be sure to, when I see him, be like, go Cubs. But also, yeah, shouts out to Tim Robinson as well, because I think You Should Leave is not just funny, but I think modern art. And if you don't understand it, then I feel like you might want to give your head a wobble.
Let's talk Lions. It was a win. I didn't expect anything different out of Dan Campbell because, I mean, there were people on threads talking back and forth about this, that should we sit starters, whatever. we know, like Dan Campbell at this point is a known quantity. There's no way in the world that Dan sits the starters until that thing is in lock, even on a game like this where the chances of us being the 2 seed were almost nil. That said, Sam LaPorta is questionable at best for the playoff game against the Rams. So one could look at it either way. I think a lot of people stood by the idea that, look, this is who Dan is. This is what got us to the dance. This is what we're going to keep doing. The Rams. This is probably the opponent that most people did not want to see. Matthew Stafford returning to Ford Field, now as the villain. Thoughts?
Yeah, before we start, like I get why he played Sam LaPorta. People are like, well, the second seed is basically out of reach. It really wasn't. The Eagles got throttled. They needed the Eagles and the Cowboys to lose to move to the second seed. So that's literally 50% of the scenario happened. I mean, would you prefer Sam be healthy for this game? Of course, yes. He's very useful. He's proven that. He has the most rookie receptions as a tight end in NFL history. Like, that lets you know he's very used. He's a first-year, first-team Pro Bowler. Like, that lets you know that people understand that he's very much useful. So, yeah, having him get banged up a bit, having Brian Branch get banged up a little bit, not awesome, not great. Having Amon-Ra St. Brown get hit a little bit, not great. But, like, you want to make sure these players get their reps in before a more important game, because 2 years ago, the Ravens' John Harbaugh sat Lamar Jackson for their final game. In the first game in the playoffs, he looked rusty and they lost as a result. So you want to make sure your players still maybe get the reps in. So especially reps in under fire, like not just practice reps of doing this, but doing it when someone might hit you and affect the outcome of what you're doing. So I get it. I'm not going to come down on them too hard about it, because it looked like a freak accident. Hopefully Sam's knee is okay. You never want to see a knee bend like that on turf. But if he's unavailable, then they have to go without him. And that's one thing that if I were a Lions fan, I feel more confident about this year than the past years, because everyone seems to have bought into, okay, if he's not available, next guy up. Whereas before, it's like, he's not available. Oh no, like what do we do? Like, there are other weapons that they can work with. Sam is a good part of the offense, but he's not the offense. So I think if he can't play, it'll be harder, obviously, but they can move forward.
Trauma-damaged Lions fans, of which there are many, and I probably count myself as a little bit of one of them, are a bit worried about Stafford versus Goff. There's a streak of doomerism, especially knowing that Stafford replaced Goff over at the Rams. Is that something that we need to worry about? Like, how are you feeling about this game?
I'm less worried that it's Matt Stafford and more worried that it's an above average quarterback, at least against that secondary. Because Nick Mullins is not a good quarterback. And Nick Mullins this season, in his 2 games against the Lions, passed for almost 800 yards.
You're more worried about the defense than the offense.
Yeah, that's worrisome to me. That's a problem, because while he has Justin Jefferson, who is an amazing player, Nick Mullins is not good. Matthew Stafford has Cooper Kupp, who became his Calvin Johnson for about a year and a half and kind of elevated his game. And then he has this rookie, Puka Nacua, who broke a bunch of NFL rookie records from most yards for a rookie receiver, with almost 1,700 yards. So he has 2 threats. Not like with the Cowboys where you're like, look at CeeDee Lamb, double him, or the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, double. You have 2 threats, and you have a sketchy secondary at best. So, like, yeah, that's more of my problem. You have a quarterback who will throw the ball deep. We all know he'll throw the ball deep. And 2 receivers who will go and get it. So, yeah, I'm worried about that. Not really like the head-to-head of, like, revenge. I mean, if it's a revenge game for anyone, it's a revenge game for Goff, because the Rams gave up on him. Stafford gave up on the Lions. Like, it's not like the Lions were like, all right, but they wanted to keep him, but he wanted to go. So they made a trade that would benefit him, and it worked out for him, and it's working out for Goff right now. That would be my worry. If I'm worried on the offense, I'm worried. The one worry I might have for Sam LaPorta not playing is Aaron Donald. For those who don't know, Aaron Donald is the nose tackle for the Rams. He has been a Pro Bowler every year he's been in the NFL. I'll let you know how dominant he's been. At one point, for about a 2-year span, he was the best player in the NFL. and that not a hyperbole, like ranked by multiple metrics and outlets as the best player in the NFL for about a year and a half window as a nose tackle. That lets you know how dominant he is. He'll be causing some chaos. Penei Sewell, Graham Glasgow, Dan Skipper, they're going to have a really tough time keeping him away from Jared Goff. Having LaPorta would help because he'd be an outlet. It would allow him to get the ball out quickly so he wouldn't get hit nearly as much because, as we know, Jared Goff, great pocket presence, but very statuesque. If you make him run, the ball is probably not going to find its intended receiver. But if they get the run game going, which will help set up the pass, Amon-Ra can find his underneath routes. Maybe Khalif Raymond can help get some stuff going down the wing. It's a little bit sketchy. You don't want it to be someone like Stafford coming back for your first playoff game because you still have those people who had the Detroit Rams t-shirts who are like, oh my God, this is our time. So, you don't want them to, give him some juice and cheering for him a little bit. But you also understand why, because, he meant so much to the franchise. But he really shouldn't mean much that Sunday. That's the one day he should just be some guy. I won't tell you how to be a fan. Obviously, you can make your own distinctions from there. But he has a chance to really deflate the entire Ford Field if he comes down, especially if it's late. You got like 2:18 left, one timeout. The Rams are pushing for a touchdown. Like, everyone in the stadium's going to get lemon booty. 100%. It's going to be just, oh God, we've seen this happen before type of thing.
What's your prediction?
I hate this. I think the Lions hold on. I think they hold on just barely. 27-22. The defense needs to figure it out. They need to get after Matt, make him move. Jack Campbell played like a bat of hell against the Vikings. They need to see that from him, and he's capable of it. Aiden Hutchinson needs to get the pressure. The defensive line needs to help Aiden Hutchinson get pressure by being active themselves. And the DBs, when the defensive line finally gets pressure, needs to make plays. Like CJ Gardner-Johnson being back, awesome. That's great. He needs to shake off the rust. He very much said that he's not back to be on the bench, to be in a rotation. He's back to start. Fine. Show everyone why you're back to start. Cam Sutton has had a really suspect last 3 weeks. He pulled it together the last game, getting an interception, playing the best he could. But, you can't be getting turned out this game. That cannot happen this game. You have to show why you were in the Super Bowl last year with the Eagles and why you've made a bunch of runs to the playoffs with the Saints from before. You have to show why they brought you in. You can't give up 150 yards to a receiver this game. That cannot. And if you do, it has to be 150 yards, no yards after catch. They just got down there, you brought them down immediately. Not like they caught it and then you blew your assignment even more and then they ran for it. No, they have to be tagged immediately and that's over. So if the Lions defense can shape up and the run game can get going to allow Goff more time to throw the ball down the field, which again, that's going to be a little bit harder because you have a perennial Hall of Famer in the middle and Aaron Donald, who I guess the best way to describe him would kind of be like Ndamukong Suh with the Lions, where kind of everything that happens in the middle, you look to see where 92 was with the Lions, because wherever Ndamukong Suh is, that's where all of the pressure is going to be coming from. So with Aaron Donald, wherever he is, that's where the focal point of the offensive line is going to be. So it's making sure you can handle him with maybe 1.5 people, not having to double team him. Because if you double team him, that leaves someone open to go and attack Goff. And if you attack Goff and make him move, I saw a stat about it. Really great pocket passer, but on the run, he's a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL. If you make him have to throw on the move at all, he goes from a completion percentage of 65, 70% to 9. And 9% of anything is not good, let alone 9% of throwing a ball to someone in the same color jersey. So if they can keep the pocket clean, let Goff make throws from his feet, not from his butt, and the run game gets active, Gibbs and Montgomery show why they're Pro Bowl alternates, and the defense holds, 27-22 victory, setting up a game against the Cowboys in Dallas again.
I want to add a little personal note, Fletcher, if it's okay, because it's going to be pandemonium on Sunday in Detroit, and it should be. Fans should be really excited. I am excited. But I guess my personal note, especially because we haven't done a playoff game at home in a really long time, and I don't think we've ever done one at Ford Field, have we?
No.
Here's the thing. Have all the fun in the world. I'm going to be having fun. But let's remember that, like, people live downtown and in greater downtown Detroit, and I know that there's going to be a big party regardless of the weather, and people are going to be pumped and excited, and the game being at 8 p.m., there's going to be a lot of runway for that, right? I hope that the bars and the restaurants and everyone else can make a bunch of money off of this one, and everyone has a good time. Just please remember to not turn this into an opening day situation where, remember, people live down here. Do not treat downtown Detroit as just like your playground. It can be a playground, but not a playground that you trash. And it really would be awesome if, I mean, obviously there's going to be messes, there's going to be some issues, but it would be really awesome to remember to treat downtown Detroit like you would your own neighborhood.
Opening day rules in effect. You go down there, you can have fun, whatever, but like you make a mess, you clean it up. You don't just leave your little tailgate, whatever, and just dip. You don't know. You make a mess, that's fine. People make messes, people have little events and they get wild and they get crazy. But you clean it up. Like you said, people live down there. Detroit is trying to have this image of this is a city where like we're on the up and up. Cities that are on the up and up don't have people treating their city like it's a dumpster. That's not. People make jokes about that from out of town. Like, let's make sure those jokes definitely are wrong by you making sure your city looks as peerless as it can. Because, like you said, people live there, people work there. Everyone's got to go to work the following day. Do you really think people want to try to go to work and do these other things like through the litany of garbage you left? No, that's not right, and that's not fair. If someone left garbage in your driveway, you would have a problem with it. Treat this like it's your driveway.
100%. Fletcher Sharp, so good to talk to you. Exciting week. Cannot wait for Sunday. Saint FDW on all the social media.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It should be a really electrifying game either way. I know not just the Lions game, but there are a lot of former people returning to their stadiums. You got the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill going to Kansas City. You got Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys bringing in the Packers. You got a lot of people going into places that like they used to be from and confronting them. So it's going to be a very exciting and potentially explosive NFL playoff Sunday.
With that, I'm Jared Stays.
And I'm Fletcher Sharp.
Remember that you are somebody. Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit, and we'll see you around town.